we would just like you to just
Is that
go
bigger?
straight. Hello?
Yes, is that bigger?
Okay, okay. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our first speaker is Honorable Keith Swines Ross from Singapore, and he works internationally with his projects encompassing many diverse cultural backgrounds throughout the years. Ross has developed a growing desire to put an ongoing emphasis in bringing more souls into business, and he believes that the most effective leaders stays true to their authenticity by being so inspired, and it starts by being able to lead yourself. So, join me to welcome Honorable Keith Swan Ross.
Thank you. Well, good to be speaking to everyone tonight. I hope that it's all, at least the video is coming through, the images are coming through, which is good. Okay, now, let's see. Right, here we go. Now, what are we talking about tonight? And the whole thing is about relationships in, in essence. It's just about relationship and leadership. And it's to do with communication. It's the it's the ability to communicate and build a relationship in leadership. Now, leadership's not just about leading other people. The key to leadership is how you lead yourself. So this is going to be talking about communication and how you lead yourself to be the best at communicating is that you can be. In the famous words that Anthony Robbins said, I guess probably a decade ago now, but it's so true. To effectively communicate, we must realise that we are all different in the way we perceive the world, and use this understanding as a guide to communicate with others. And what that really means is that everything's to do with communication, and it's basically when it comes to communication, if you're speaking, like I'm speaking now, it's the message that I send, but it's what's received. It's not the message I send. And that's the key to communication. It's all about you inside, internally. So the message that is real, the real message is whatever's received. It's not what you've sent. And too often we get like we'll say that I'll come, oh, I told them that. They should know. No, they don't. It means you didn't say it clear enough or in a way that people understood. It always comes back to you. You point a finger at someone, there's several fingers pointing back at you. And that's what you've got to start when you want to be a good communicator. It's about you, not your audience so much. Yes, your audience when you're talking about the subject matter and getting them motivated, and we'll cover that in a book in a minute. But it's about how you communicate, how you understand people. It's understanding the relationship between you have and the person you're communicating with. So in essence, as I said, it's about you. The spotlight's on you first and other people after that. It's not the other way around. And basically, just a few things I want to be talking about here. And we could talk for hours on this, but we're doing it in 30 minutes. It's about how you balance some of your conversation. And this is from within. It's what's motivating, whatever you're trying to say, how do you balance the way you deliver in your mindset? And what I want to talk about here is, I'll give you one example, which is the most common I find when I coach executives and I coach people where they have communication problems. And the key is to balancing it. Now, what do I mean by that, by being balanced? Let's just look at a particular communicator or a trait, human trait, that has a massive involvement when it comes to communicating. It's whether you basically Are diplomatic or you're blunt? That's the key, right? Now, this is one of the most common problems I have when trying to help people to be communicative and to get their message across. So you want communications to build cooperative relationships with others, and you be respectful of others' self-esteem and authentic in your communication. Now, what does that mean? Well, you need a bit further. You can be frank, the tendency to be straightforward, direct to the point, or you can be diplomatic, the tendency to state things in a very tactful manner. Now, this is the most, as I said, the most common problem I see with people trying to communicate and people actually listen, wanting to listen to what they're saying. Because if you're frank, it's like I need to be telling them the message they need to hear. And yes, they do need to hear it. And when you're diplomatic or too diplomatic, um, you're so tactful that you don't really tell them the message because you don't want to. You don't want to upset them, don't hurt them. So you give a bit of a lame, loose sort of message that's very diluted and expect them to understand it. So the key is that's the trait. The trait to be direct or the trait to be tactful. Now, what I'm talking about, you've got to be balanced. So when you're giving a message, yes, you must tell them what they need to hear, but you need to say it in a diplomatic way. Because if you don't, you will not be respecting their self-esteem. And you upset people, and they're more concerned about what you're saying that upsets them than actually listening to your message. And that's what happens. So what I'm doing here is that when you go back to this one a bit more, and the key is, once you tell them the message, but just say it in a way that doesn't destroy their self-esteem. Now, we could talk about this. This could take about 4 hours, me just going through, and we all practice that, that one trait. We don't have that time. I'm just going to run across a few of the things you to consider. But just be tactful. Just think of the people that you know who are reasonably tactful, diplomatic in the way they say things. And that's what you've got to do. You're just going to say it in words that's diplomatic. What's an example? So you might want to say to someone, if they're, let's say, for example, written your report, and it's a raw mess. It's a raw mess. It's a bit of a mess, right? So you're thinking, well, if someone was just blunt, they'd say, look, I don't like this report, it's terrible, go away and do it again. It doesn't really help anyone. And all they do is they go away being upset. But they come and they bring you a report. And you say, and you look at it and you look at the report and you get them. So what do you need to do if I was going into my boss now or to my friend and asked them, what do you think of the report? And what they're coming to me and asking me what they think of the report they gave to me, I would look at the report and it might not be very good. But the first thing I've got to do is look for the things that are good. So you look for positives so I can build on that. So when someone asks me, okay, Ross, what was the report like? So I look at some of the things that they did well and I start to tell them. And then I don't then say, well, that bit over there is not very good. I ask them a question, how do I think this sounds in this right manner? So in other words, you're trying to ask them where you see the errors, how they see it, how they read it themselves, etc., etc. And I could go on, we could talk about that. We're running for a few hours. But anyway, what I'm getting at there is just be open to it. Don't just smack them with a blunt comment. Be constructive. You tell them some of the things they did well, so they're now listening to you, and then you start asking questions about the errors that they've made and how they can reread that, and how they can rejig that, and how do we and sort of help them uncover the fact that it's not that well written. Whatever the problem is. Right? So just keep that in mind when you're talking with people, is you need to communicate. Yes, telling the message, but you always need to be doing it in a way that they're willing to listen to. In other words, it's constructive. So when you get to another person with often power or like a strength and a behavior trait is the way you deliver it sometimes. You can be very assertive and you put yourself first and not worry about the other person, or you're super helpful and you bring over backwards to that person without putting your own wants and needs in the conversation. That's another one that causes a lot of problems. So the key here is that we need to do both. Yes, you're very trying to help someone, so you're considering their needs and their wants. At the same time, you need to also consider your own needs and wants. So it's not all way, it's balanced, I keep saying. Everything's balanced when you communicate. And a couple of other things that you need to, should be just brushing through this a little bit, but just to open your mind, is that when you're communicating and you're getting people wanting to do something, or you're getting them motivated to do something, or asking them to help, or you're anything like that, there again, it's the perception of that person, and it's what they've lived their life doing. That's the key. It's just what Anthony Robbins said. We don't understand that people think differently than we do. So don't always say it from your perspective all the time because they won't necessarily get it. And this is what I mean here. I'll show you a bit more. So we perceive life and things that occupy our lives, and we learn as we go, right? We learn what we call mental villages. In other words, the area around you. That's what we learn from. We grow from it. So we've got to understand a bit more where people come from, not just come from where they come from, where they live. That's an aspect. Yes, but just the life they've lived. The more you understand about people, the more you're able to connect with them. And like a perfect example would be where I've come from. When you where you are, if you think about that and just travel about 1,000 kilometres the other way, and you'll see that these people are slightly different the way they react and deal with things. You can see the difference. You can certainly see the difference if you're in Britain, for example, and you went across to France. There's still a lot of similarities, but there's still some differences. Language is one, but it's not just language. It's about some of the things that people do about doing things. So when you look at that in isolation, just doing the anyone around you in the world, it's not much different. But it's just that people live different lives, different programming. You need to understand, as what Anthony Robbins said, just be aware that people are different. So when you say, oh, they don't understand or get this, you're really speaking and giving the message from your perspective and how you deal with something. It doesn't mean to say that they're going to deal with it the same way or the same way. So you need to try and understand those people. That way you have a better chance to get them to understand you and be willing to want to buy into whatever you're telling them. Oh, and I've already mentioned this because of the fact that it's just the world you live in, it can be your own DNA, your own personas, the way your parents are, everything like that. All that living around you as you grow up affects how you think and feel. It affects your perception. And your perception affects how you communicate, how you send the messages out there. And if you want to be a good communicator, you understand that internally, as I said, you're understanding yourself a bit better and you're sending the words a bit more positive way. But then realize that the people that you're sending it to are all think and feel a little different. Some not that much than you, others a lot from you. The key is once you're aware of that internally yourself, then you're more likely to connect with them because you're more open to communicating in a different way other than the way you'd want to receive the message. If that makes sense. And just to make it a little bit of help here, is when you look at people's motivations, there's four basic groups. I just said everyone's different, but they are, but you can put them in spots. General characteristics as one of the more probably, what's the word? Probably the overriding main trait that they have. They may react a different way to a lot of things, but they predominantly react a particular way. And once you understand and watch and observe people, you'll start to understand and see how you can best communicate with them. So the school groups, the group only, is a group that is people focused and very competitive people, naturally. What they mean by that, and we call them like rules. So if you're a leader, and some of the leaders tend to be here, people who want to lead, want to be in control is probably the better word. They're people who like efficiency, they like speed, they like they like achievement, they like that progress. They always got to be achieved. And they like the authority, they like the control and the success that control brings. So that's that type of person. You all know types of people like that. There's no question about that. You all know those people, okay? That'll give you a general trait. They always like to be in control. Well, don't fight that. Then if you're trying to connect with them and you're trying to get them to buy into something, or even if it's what we're going on holidays with you in a personal sense, use words that they like. Like, well, you'll be able to control you, be able to control what you do when you go on this holiday. You can be in control, you can plan it all out, we can do, and in controlling all your time, you can do all these sort of things if we do it this way. See what I mean? Like, you're using the words that they like and you respond to. I'll give an example when we go back, but to the opposite of that, but we'll get to that in a minute. But that's the kind of getting it. You look at people who want to be control and don't fight that. Speak in their language to help them motivate to do something that you're willing to do or whatever you're trying to achieve with the conversation. You just speak in the language. And if you're not a control freak, see, you run the risk of talking in your language. They don't get it. They won't listen. They're listening to you right internally. But you talk in their language, they're listening. They're listening. So that's that group. What I said there was the group C, the rulers. Then we go to the next group, which is the thinkers. I can show you what that means by that. That's the thinkers over here. Group D. We're people who obviously like to think, but they respond to facts and features. They respond to data. They like systems that are proven and they see proven performance, etc. They always look for things that give them a reason to do it. They like the technical competence. They could be not all this an occupation, they're probably an engineer or a professor at a university. They like to think, they like to get through things and work it through in detail. Yeah, there are people out there like that, and there's a lot of people that aren't. But if they're like that, then you approach those people in that sort of way. Like if you're selling them a car, I'll show them the specifications of the car. I'm going to show them, why don't you get this one? It's a pretty blue colour. They couldn't care less. They want to know what kilometres they get to the petrol gallon. What's this? What's the performance? They want all the data. So you're giving them the data. They're more likely to buy that car. And so when you look back to the previous one, you go back and give an example again. So if you go back to the people who like to really be in control, when we're talking about the things in the car, the controls in the car, but you're in control as the driver, you can do this, you can do that. It goes at a reasonably good pace. It's a very good speedy car and it's a very efficient, the fuel is efficient. But you talk about control, what you can do as a driver, and the speed means it gets you there quickly. So that's the different words you use. Right, so that's the thinking person. Then we go to the next group, and it's the follower, which is group B, security and acceptance, and basically the fact they follow, which is the opposite to basically opposite down to the rulers who like to be in control. These people don't necessarily want to be in control. So these type of people, they like security. They don't tend to be in leadership positions. A lot of them, Don't get me wrong, but they're in there for a different reason than just being. It's not being in control. It's just the fact for the other reasons that they're in a leadership position. It follows that just a group of people who see the security side of things. So, and they tend to have a lot, very traditional in their values. And they like to be, they don't like to upset people, right? So they like to be popular. But when we get back to that security consciousness, so if I was selling them a car, I'd be going on, given they're very traditional with their family, I'd be selling them or talking to them about the safety aspects of this car. You can keep your family safe. This it's one of the safer cars on the road. They're the words I'll be using. I don't necessarily need to see, we want to know what the mileage would be, all that. They want to know, is it secure? Is it a safe car? That's the key to them. See, that's the difference. But when you know people, you can use the words they want to respond to, and it makes your communication so much more powerful. And the last group is the performers, the group only. The performers are people who, yes, they like to be recognised socially, they like to be out there. That's why we call them performers. They like to be in front of people, quite often trainers, quite often actors in movies. They follow the trend and the fashion. They do all those sorts of things. So if you're selling them a car, then you can say, yes, once you look at this blue and put them in behind the wall in blue because it's flashy. Well, this is the latest. This is the very latest edition of this car, the latest model. They're more likely to buy it because the latest model. Well, you think I wouldn't buy it because they want to see that it's proven with the facts and the data. They want the thing to be running a few years before they can buy it. When we see that it performs. These are the people that when I guess when there's a new phone, iPhone, they're the ones that want because they want to be the first. Not always the case. You can't just generalise and say that's it. It's a general comment, but there'll be a lot of people who see in the line with people that overnight to get them the latest edition of the film, people with this sort of personality. So, because they like the trends, and they like the quite friendly well again, because they like to be loved. They like to be out there because they're in front of people. So, in essence, yeah, but just look at a summary again. You've got four basic. Now, we're all the same. There's people who like control, but they're also okay to follow. Good leaders who lead and take ownership of what they're doing also know that to be a good leader, you must be a good follower. So we have all those traits in us. Everyone has in us. What we do, everyone has a dominant trait, and that's what I'm saying. If you get to know the dominant traits of people, then you've got a chance to connect with them. And it's like anything. When someone buys a car, for example, ask them, why did you buy it? Some will say because I like the colour. Some will say because it's the latest edition. Some will say, oh, they'll give you all the data. And some will say because it's safe. Whatever it is, it gives you a bit of an idea what motivates them. When you start asking other questions, different things, and you get to know people. That's what good leaders do. But just as friends, you get to know people better. You can motivate them more to be alongside you in what you're trying to talk about. All right, we'll move down to the next one. Now, the other thing we need to do is to understand that people do process words a little differently. We also get motivated by certain things in different ways, and we process things slightly differently. We can process them via the oral, that's what we see. It's what we listen with the ear, but we listen in an audio sense, a visual sense, or kinesthetic, which is an heart sort of sense. It's how we process the world. Now, if I just said to you, well, I instantly say line, people will get that a different way. Some people actually hear the word, others hear the line, and others will basically feel the power of the line. That's a minuscule second that happens. If I said picture alone, everyone pictures it. But the words get processed in your brain in one of those three ways. Either audio, visual, kinesthetic. It's the way we process the world into our body, into the mind. It's what comes through the ear, how we process it, so we start to understand what we got, what words are being said. So, in order to understand people well, we go, how do I know that? Well, just you pick up languaging is a bit of a clue. Like, how would you know that people process? Start to understand yourself. There again, see, going back to understand yourself. How do you process this? And it's very hard to say it's a conscious thought. But over time, if you think about it, when you start talking about different things, you'll start to understand. And you know, I picture the word all the time. I picture the scene more easily. Other times, other people be saying, you know, you hear the sound. When they say beach, I hear the sound of the waves. Others just picture it, beautiful beach and water. And others just feel the wind and they just have a feeling about it. Like I get you all to feel that I start talking about just feeling the wind hit your face, the, the fresh breeze, all that. So we can all do it. What happens when nearly goes in the environment in the world is the right process. Because once you know as a communicator, you can then use the words that makes it easy for them. So if what's the few? So here's like things like this, right? Someone who's not really not sure about something. What might a visual person say? In other words, they picture things in their mind, first of all. And they don't really understand about it. They'll say, well, that's pretty hazy to me. And that's a bit foggy to me. I can't, I can't see what you're saying. Those sorts of words. So when you think about that, why would anyone say, I can't see what you're saying? We should all say, I can't hear what you're saying, or I don't understand. But we say, that's a bit hazy, or that's a bit foggy. I can't see it. So I can't see it when someone's talking to you. Well, you don't want to see it, but they're telling me I can't see it. In other words, I don't understand. So when you start to go, oh, this person may be visual, start painting pictures in the way of it so they can understand from the reason. Because you're painting a picture, because that's the type of person. So a military person who does go by sound, that doesn't ring a bell with me. That type of word doesn't ring a bell. And kinesthetic person is just, I'm not sure that I follow you. I'll just say those sorts of, in other words, it's a gut feeling. I don't know what it is, but I'm not sure. So that's the type of language that people use. Just to get, and there again, I'm just rushing through these, and you just to open the mind up that there are quite a few aspects of communication. One, that you yourself, you're sending out the words in the right way. Secondly, you're more conscious that other people think and feel differently than you do, their perception is different. So you need to connect with the way they perceive it, not the way you perceive it, which is where the biggest problem is. Right? So you need to be more aware of it. So when you get to these other comments here, is that visual people, they tend to speak a bit quicker. I won't go through this. All three people who listen to the clear word are always very clear in their enunciation, very clarity. With visual people tend to speak a bit more, etc., etc. And kinesthetic people tend to be a bit more chilled and deeper pitch and slow. But what I'm saying is that if you understand some of these things, then you start to realize, oh, what is it? All the things a bit like that. Then you come in that way by understanding. Then you're connecting. Then you're really connecting and building that relationship. That's the key to the relationship, understanding the other person. But understand your first self first. You need to understand others unless you understand yourself first. Once you start to see the nuances in your life, then you start looking for the nuances in others. So, one thing before I finish up is just also be aware of body language. And we all know about that. And subconsciously, we do deal with it. And it's probably 80% of how we communicate is body language. And sometimes we like all of those things that I've talked about up until now. It's about the congruence. It's about a cluster of different messages that you see. That type of person. Well, it doesn't mean to say they are, but it means you look for those things a bit more. And eventually, if you get to know that relationship and you work on it, you get more conscious about connecting with that person. You start to see the pattern grow and understand how those people are. And so there's simple things like body language, like open palms, muscular, means the openness, things like a natural smile creates wrinkles around your eyes. So if someone's smiling and trying to smile or smiling at you, but there's no wrinkles means they're grimacing. They're not getting it at all. And all the things, subconsciously, we tend to pick up on someone else. Someone who's part lips with a part lip smile means they don't want to share anything. So when you see someone very cut with a cut lip smile, it means maybe you back off a bit. They're not prepared to share whatever you're trying to get them to share. So work with them a different way. Or when people fail their own lives, they're not buying into what they're saying at all. They're standing there with their phone scrolling, listening to it. And if they're standing there touching their elbow, for example, they're just not sure. But they're the types of things that you need to be aware of. Subconsciously, we pick up on it all the time, but just to be a bit more conscious of it makes you a better communicator. And even things like blinking eyes and pupil dilation. And pupil dilation means people are really blowing into what you're saying. They are really engaging with the claim. That's the glassy eye effect, the dilation. I could go and tell you a story, finalise it all. I mean, that's why when you have, if you want to take your, take your friend out for a date, this is say you're taking the girlfriend out or else taking the boy or whatever, right? You want to take them out for a date. You need to go and sit under a floodlight, do you? You go somewhere where it's bright, where the light's not as bright, because the pupil has to dilate more to see the light. And when they do that, it's a wrong signal for us. The bit of the dilation of the pupil, it's the balance in the connection. If you get people doing it with you, that means they're connecting with you. So I won't go there. There's a whole power. I just want you to be aware, just to be aware. And go and search on the web about body language and look for all these different messages that can help you. But the simple one touching eyes means they're not buying into what you're saying. They are not buying into it. They could not care. If they're touching their chin, for example, yes. Whatever you're saying, yes, I'm happy with that, Ross. I enjoy it. I know what you're saying and I agree with it. That's what they'd be touching their chin when you're saying. So, what I want to do is just finish off now by saying, in summary, when communicating any form, you need to read the signs. And you need to, in other words, by observing people, not just throwing what you think at people. You need to make sure that you're saying things in a way that's uplifting to them, not, not destroying them. Right? It's more uplifting. And you can still give them a very hard message sometimes if you have to, but you can still think, do it, look at it, in the best constructive way you can say that without destroying the self-esteem. You put the identity, but you do not want it to destroy people. They won't listen to you. So that's you internally. Now, the last bit is all this other information. And that's the people I'm talking to. Yes, they don't perceive things the same way as I do. They don't process words necessarily the same way as I do. They're not motivated the same way as I do, which means I've got to be building this relationship, really understanding these differences. I need to find out and learn as much as I can about those differences. And that's how I build a relationship. So here's a clear, concise, and credible message delivered with positive energy. What you're saying and doing. Right. Thank you, Elizabeth. That's it. I've finished. Right.
Thank you so much. Even though it was a bit challenging, but you delivered a wonderful presentation. And I want to say thank you, sir, despite all the challenges. You can put your slide down now.
Just
And
right a bit.
yes, you can put it down. So I want to say thank you, sir, for your time
Yep.
and also for sharing with us this morning. I know it was a little bit of challenging in connection, but still the message is clear and your presentation is well understood. So I want to say thank you so much, Honorable
Yep.
Ross Swan from Singapore. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
And if you
Thank
still have time to join us rest of the week, maybe the connection can also be good by that
Well,
time.
I'll see. I'll see. Because we've got a
Okay,
cyclone about to hit Brisbane in
okay.
another day. So they're predicting the power could be out for 3 or 4 days, which means there's no internet. So that's the,
Th-
because I'm in Brisbane at the moment. So
Thank you so much, sir.
yeah, that's
And
the
on be
challenge.
And on
Okay.
behalf of Yes You Can International, we want to say thank you for joining us in this our wonderful time together to learn and also to share. I want to say thank you so much
Okay.
for
My pleasure.
joining us. Thank you
My
so